Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the first session of our virtual mental health series organized by the Central Board of Secondary Education in collaboration with the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, as part of the World Mental Health Week. We often say that a healthy mind lives in a healthy body, and for our children, the balance of nutrition, physical health, and emotional well being is the real foundation for learning. At CBSE, initiatives like the School Health and Wellness Program, the Parenting Calendar, the Hub and Spoke model of counseling, and the AIMS CBSE Mate project remind us that caring for a student goes beyond academics. It encompasses their overall growth. Today's session on health, nutrition, and emotional health will help us explore how the food we eat, the habits we follow, and the emotions we experience are deeply interconnected. It is a reminder that when schools, parents, and communities come together to nurture healthier choices, we also nurture happier and more resilient young minds. It's my privilege and honor to welcome Professor Dr. M. Shrinivas. He is the director of AIMS New Delhi, and Professor Shrinivas is a distinguished expert in general and pediatric surgery and a pioneer in integrating health and wellness initiatives for children and adolescents. He has been associated with AIMS, I think, since 1994 and has been leading the institute as the director since September 2022. A distinguished surgeon and academician, he has earned several awards, including 5 gold medals during his medical education and the UG Chakraborty National Award from the Indian Association of Pediatric Surgeons. He also at the Children's Research Center, Our Ladies Hospital for Sick Children in Dublin, Ireland, with over 29 years of teaching experience. Professor Dr. Shrinivas has mentored more than 25 scholars across DM, MCH, MD, MS, and PhD program. Wow. His professional interests span medical education, hospital governance, and healthcare system strengthening. So really, really an honor to have you here. He has also served in leadership roles such as Dean of ESIC Medical College and head of 1,000 bedded hospitals in Hyderabad, overseeing administration, patient care, finance, research, and teaching. He has also played a pivotal role in establishing several new medical colleges across India, including in Hyderabad, Behta, Alwar, and Telangana, as well as new units and specialized facilities at AIMS, New Delhi. Professor Dr. Shrinivas has a long list of authored numerous textbooks, chapters, and over 180 international publications. He serves on the editorial boards of leading journals and is an active member of 15 professional bodies, including the Indian Association of Pediatric Surgeons, the Association of Surgeons of India, and the European Society for Pediatric Surgery. We are really, really privileged, all of us here, to have you, sir, here. And today he will be sharing his insights on practical ways to strengthen mental health, build resilience, and foster a culture of care in schools. Before we begin, I would like to request all the participants to kindly put any queries or thoughts that you have in the chat box. These will be addressed at the end of the session by Professor Dr. Srinivas, ensuring that everyone's concerns are also discussed in the time allotted that we have. With that, I invite Dr. Srinivas to please guide us through the first session of this important series. A hearty welcome to all of you and your team who has joined from AIMS. Thank you so much, sir. Please.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. And I think the most important, which I would say the introduction would be that, I'm the chairman for the 2 Kendriya Vidyalayas near to the AIMS. And I was just sharing with Madam Sharma that, the last class which I took in the PM Shri Kendriya Vidyalaya at INA was about the dengue fever, how to prevent the mosquito breeding and all. That is something which gives us the pleasure. Madam was saying that, how do we get the time? I think that gives the pleasure for all of us, especially the doctors, those who are connected with the child care, to go to the schools and tell them, what is good and what is not good, because they are the people who are the ambassadors. They are the ambassadors. When they go home, they tell them that they have learned something new, and that is going to be incorporated in the families. Thank you to the CBSE and all the schools, principals, teachers, and the students, and the Professor Nandkumar, the Department of Psychiatry here from AIMS New Delhi. We are today connecting to the people, and Madam said that it's already saturated. The 1,000 lines are already on, but nothing to worry that, it will be recorded, and then we will reach out, individually also will reach out. And in fact, I was discussing with Madam Sharma that, the doctors, wherever they are near to the schools, will take up this as a mission so that they can reach out to the more and more schools and talk about the health and the nutrition for the teens. Well, the most important thing for all of us is that, what is health? There are children there, I can't interact with them, but I can say that, if somebody's asking there, what is health? Somebody might say that, it is, oh, I don't have disease, main to acha hu, mere ko koi bimari nahi hai. It's not that. So what is important is the health as a various components, the physical component, a mental component, a social component, a emotional component. Of course, the spiritual component is also added up these days. So when we look into the health in a holistic way, the definition of that goes in a way that, what are the things which are the things which are making the physical component to make it of somebody, the child, as a healthy person. Well, the students know that, physical health is important. Somebody will say health is like my biceps, one of the boys may show up that, I have big biceps and then I'm healthy. It's not that. It's what is important is that, we need to look into what are those parameters. Somebody who was very active as a child, who is playing very well, and whose height weight is fine. Height weight of the child also depends upon the height of the parents as well to a larger extent. And then one of the things which, of course, the children are into the internet, and then they can look into the body mass index that can be calculated by looking at our weight in kilograms and then the height in meters. That's the formula. BMI is equivalent to body weight in kilograms divided by the square of the height in meters. That we can look into that. And if the BMI is acceptable, if the BMIs are fine, anything less than 18 is not right. That's where the undernutrition, malnutrition comes into the picture. Anything above 23, 24, 25, that's also not good because, we are ending up in overnutrition, obesity, morbid obesity, and all those complications of obesity. In addition to that, there's one more index called ponderal index that we don't have to look into that. But in adolescents, I think the ponderal index is better because it is not just the height square, it is height to the cube, 3 times the height into height into height is something which is considered. But the BMI is very well done. Most of the people are using BMI, and adults also BMI, the standard practice of looking at what is the body mass index. Having seen that somebody is active, somebody is BMI is fine, not undernourished, not overnourished or obese, the physical health always, the equivalence of that comes from how much we can actually endure the physical stress and strain. If a boy or girl is able to do 60 minutes of physical activity, most of that in the form of aerobic exercises, which strengthen the muscles and the bones, I think that is the healthy thing, And in fact, it is a recommendation that, the schools, teachers, and the parents and the children should be conscious about the fact that at least 1 hour of our time in a day, not on the smartphone, but on the physical activity is something which is required. This is something which is, I want all of you to take home the message that at least 1 hour in most of the schools, good olden days, and even now, the physical activity is there for 45 minutes to 1 hour. That is something which is necessary because at the end of the day, a physically healthy body will make the mental health also, and then overall success of the individual as well. And there are, the COVID killed us, during the COVID time, the schools were shut down, the playgrounds were shut down and all that. And we got used to the so-called TV, internet, and the games online and everything like that, So my request to the children and to the teachers and the parents is, let us not become couch potatoes. At least 1 hour of physical activity is something which is very important, which will make us healthy, physically healthy, and then eventually mentally healthy and more. Then comes the mental component for this health. The health, somebody will say, what is health? What is mental health and all? They say that, I'm happy, joyous, loving, getting love, caring for others, sharing, and all those things. That's how the child can be said and branded as, happy go, mentally healthy child or something. Sometimes in Hindi they say mast hai, bacha mast hai, masti kar raha hai. So masti kar raha hai doesn't mean that, mast hai or सब कुछ careless चल रहा है. That is not right. What is important is that the child should be happy, and that's something which speaks about the mental component of the health, which will bring in the overall holistic approach of looking at the health as well. The social component, again, there is a social component to this, that are we spending time with our family, our friends, our parents, our teachers, our siblings, our relatives. So this is something which is very important. The children today should also understand that the social component of this health, which is contributing to the overall health of the children, is not through the social media. That's what is something. Social media should not be taken that I'm socially there, so I'm socially on the media, and then I'm having social component of the health. No, that is something which is not, definitely not right. And the saying we always say that the smart child does not need a smartphone, and even if you use it smartphone, it should be very, very minimal, and we should not become slaves to the smartphone. The smartphone should be our slave. We should be using it very minimal, what is necessary for academics and what is necessary for the knowledge. That's all. Beyond that, we should not be wasting our time on that. So this is the social component of the inputs which are going through the overall health of the children. The emotional component is again important, the overall health, and the persons who are emotionally balanced. That means, not sadness, not depression, taking easy. A little bits of ups and downs do happen, whether it is academic performance, whether it is siblings, whether it is sports. So all this is always there, part and parcel of the game. If we can balance it very well, emotionally balance it, resolve conflicts peacefully. There will always be conflict, especially in the school, the teenagers, sports activities, there will be conflicts. That is something which, if they are able to do it peacefully and then learn resilience, the tolerance and resilience, that is something which will give you a lot of buffer and the strength to be emotionally balanced. It's also important for the children that the spiritual component is something which is also there in the overall holistic health, because the spiritual doesn't mean, the most of us, especially the young minds and the children, think spirituality is something for the old age people, 50, 60, 70 years, when you are old person or grandparents, that's where the spirituality should start, when they don't have any other work. No, it's not that. Today, I think all the more reason that youngsters has to be connected to the spirituality, because unless we start at early age, the benefits of spiritual component to the overall health and the success is not going to be reaped in. So it is important that we start the spiritual component at a very early age, because that gives the buffer, that helps our mental health. And then it's important that we understand the questions about life, meaning, purpose, nature, connecting with the things, religion, whatever the beliefs which we carry, the cultural activities which we do, the festivals we do it, and then believing in God and all that. This is something which is very important, and then it has to start at a very early age. If we start at a very early age, probably we will make a very good human being, and then they will be successful not only in the academics but also in life, in all aspects of life. Then, of course, the spirituality also has the connect and the morals, being grateful to the things, sympathetic, empathetic. These are the things which are definitely required for any human being to become a successful person, a great leader. These are the things which are there, and these are the things which are part and parcel of the spiritual component. And this is something which we have to tell our children, that they need to imbibe those characters, those values at a very early age, not in the old age, what we perceive as. Then the health, see, suppose if we don't have health, what are the side effects? What are those things which we lose it? Definitely we all know that, if somebody is not healthy, the academic performance will not be good, school performances are not going to be good, the sports activity performances are not going to be good. And then it's a cycle, it's a vicious cycle. You get up into the failures, you end up in sadness, you end up in depression, then you lose your friends and the family connect. All those things will lead to something like, when they are in trouble, they may reach out to the substances, addictions, whole lot of big vicious cycle will set in. So that's why the fundamental thing is that if somebody is very happy, healthy, joyous, successful, then the vicious cycle will not start. They will be definitely keeping away from the substance abuse and everything. So it's important that the absence of health has side effects. So all the more reason that we have to be healthy. Having talked about the various components of the health, now the most important thing for the health to be there and to have a balanced with all the components of the health which we discussed, it's important that nutrition plays a very important role. And that's what the topic which has been aptly chosen by the CBSE today, that what is that we are going to talk about the nutrition for children, especially the teenagers in the schools. The typical picture, I just want to tell you that, whatever the pictures, the guidelines which are going to be shared with you have come from our own Indian guidelines. We can't take the guidelines from some other country and say that this is the average height or weight, calories, this is the food habits. No, Indian Council of Medical Research, which is again part and parcel of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, through the National Institute of Nutrition. There is an institution at Hyderabad called National Institute of Nutrition, a world-renowned institution that is. So they are the people who have come out with the last year guidelines, what all the nutritional facts, what is necessary for everybody, right from the pregnancy, small child, adolescent, old age, special needs, all that guidelines have been published. You can look into the guidelines online, download that. And some of those pictures in the guidelines, which I'm going to share with you, so that we get authentic data. Whatever we learn from the internet is not the right thing. If you can Google out, if you can go into the internet, then you may get all the data, all the facts that may not be the right facts for us. Even if they are right for elsewhere in the world, they may not be right for our own country, our own the food habits which we have. So the typical picture, when you look into that, it's a food for an adult, wherein we have fruits and vegetables, followed by cereals and nuts and fats and oils. And this is what is the typical food nutrition which is supposed to be taken by us. And then we were discussing about that the diet is important thing. And for a country like us, at the moment, we are going through the double trouble. On one side, when we go into the schools, especially in the rural areas, there is an undernutrition. They have a lot of deficiencies and all that. And then when we look into some of the schools, the children are already overnourished, the obese, that's also not good. So we have a double problem of, on one side, undernutrition, and also obesity on the other side. That's also a problem for us. Both are a problem for us. We need to tackle this so that a healthy nation happens through the education through the schools. As I said previously, that when we look into somebody who is undernourished or obese or like that, so body mass index comes into the picture. And then, as I said, that anything less than 18 or so, then we are thinking that we will think that the person is undernourished, somewhere we need to intervene. And somebody who has got, say, 23, 24, 25 BMI, then we have to be very cautious. Calories has to be cut, fats has to be reduced. All this has to be done looking at the height and weight index, which is the body mass index. When we go to the schools today, you'll be surprised that there is a significant amount of deficiency. Our children, especially the girls, are iron deficiency. They have anemia. They have deficiencies with respect to the various vitamins, vitamin B12 deficiency, vitamin D deficiency, folate deficiency, zinc deficiency. So many things are there when we look into the some of our children in the schools. And this is the data from the entire country. So significant number of our children are having these deficiencies. So all the more reason that we need to intervene and then take care of these deficiencies in children so that they become healthy. Teens again have special needs because when during the puberty there will be a growth spurt. Somebody will get almost 8 to 10 centimeters of height, around 8 to 10 kgs of weight during this period. And then this growth spurt, again, has a lot of issues. The growth is happening, the maturation is happening. There is a rapid growth, especially the height and the bone development is necessary. So the requirements are very special now because it is not just the maintenance, but also the growth in the maturation is happening. So our requirements during this period definitely going to very high. So that's the reason why we have to be very conscious that, we need to look into the number of calories which we want, the kind of protein we need to take, enhanced protein requirements during this period. A typical balanced diet, this is the chart which, most of the schools will be displaying that. So it has in the bottom of the thing where we eat large number of fruits, vegetables, followed by cereals and millets. And millets have taken a good beginning in our country now. More and more conscious, the people are conscious about it. And there is a lot of push by everybody, the government and the agencies and the doctors and the social media also, that more and more of the millets has to be included. And then above that is something where, we have substances, the food items, which give us the protein, followed by the fats and oils, the nuts and oils or something. So the typical pyramid is there, wherein a balanced diet will have an adequate amount of calories, adequate amount of proteins, which we need for, because they are the building blocks of the body. And then carbohydrates, because again, that's something which is required for our calories. Fats, again, is required, minerals and other things are there. So a typical picture of the pyramidal balanced diet. And then we also look into that, what is that we need it, This is the table again from the National Institute of Nutrition, ICMR guidelines. A typical child, from the age of a boy at the age of 13 to 15 years, and the girl at between 13 to 15 years is something which we say that, these children are somewhere around 45 to 50 kgs of this thing. A typical boy will have a cereal or millet of 360 grams per day, and the girl may have around 260 grams, followed by the pulses and the beans, because this is something which will give us the proteins, the 120 grams of the boys and 85 grams for the girls. Green leafy vegetables. It's again a very important thing that, these are the things which are important with respect to the fibers, minerals, antioxidants. So again, they should be part and parcel of our healthy diet. 100 grams for the boys in the age group of 13 to 15. And girls will be somewhere around, again, 100 grams for the green leafy vegetables. And then the vegetables, the normal vegetables are around 200 grams. Roots and tubers of 100 grams. Fruits, again, 100 grams. Nuts, again, simple thing to remember that, one fistful of nuts, every day we must take it. If you take one fistful of nuts and seeds, that will give the essential requirements of our essential fatty acids and the fat component, which is required for the calories and also for the body. Milk and curd, again, the recommended thing, you cut across all the ages for the children at this teenage. 400 ml of the milk or curd is something which is recommended. There are children who say that, I don't take vegetables, I don't like green leafy vegetables, I don't like the milk and curd. This is not right. You see this component. These are the things which are mandatory. Look into that. This is a component which is talking about green leafy vegetables. This is a component which is talking about the vegetables. And then this is a component which we are talking about, the milk and curds. So though they are part and parcel of the food pyramid, the balanced diet. We can't substitute that. See, you can substitute a vegetarian with a non-vegetarian, non-vegetarian with a vegetarian, but there is no substitute for green leafy vegetables, and the milk and curd. That's where we can look into that overall calories which are there. Somewhere around 2,200 to 2,500 calories is the things which are required for age group of 13 to 18. This is the table which is I have copied from the NIN guidelines. So having seen that, this is the problem. We looked into the normal child in the teenage, boys and girls, depending upon their age, what is the requirements of this thing. But there are people who say that, I'm too much into athletics, I'm building my body, I'm going to the gym, I'm into the sports activities, I have dedicated to, for the school team and all. Then they say that, our requirements of the protein and the calories is very high. And then we need to take supplements, protein supplements, and all that thing. This picture, which is not the picture for a normal child, but for the people who are physically active, and weighing this much of kgs, those are building the body for sports and activities to represent the teams of the school, state, or the national level. The energy levels to the tune of this much, 3,000 plus, is also possible without, I underline the word, without any of those supplements. If we take up this, fundamentally what has happened is we have increased here the fats and oils to 55 grams, the nuts and again seeds to 50 grams, and the pulses and the component to 150 grams. By increasing on these components, we are able to give even to the highest level of the requirements, whatever is required for a boy or a girl who is into the professionally into the physical activities and sports activities. So the bottom line is that if we are into the physical activities, building our bodies, we don't have to go to supplements. It is possible just to increase on this side, the nuts and oils, seeds, oils, and then the pulses and legumes, we can increase our requirements. This is for the boys who are into physically active. And this is again to tell that for the girls also, we will be able to give 2,500 calories with increase in this side. These are the components which are there. So this is something which I wanted to share with you specifically to say that we don't have to go to food supplements, protein supplements, and all that. And some of those guidelines which have come through the National Institute of Nutrition from the Indian Council of Medical Research, I just wanted to share with you that we need to include pulses, nuts, oil seeds, vegetables, seasonal fruits, and eggs and the fresh fruits and vegetables and everything in the regular diet. We saw that pyramid. We also saw that, no matter how physically active we are, we will be able to take care through the normal course of the diet. Whatever we eat at home, whatever the balanced diet we are supposed to eat at home, we will be able to take care of the calorie requirements, protein requirements, essential amino acid requirements, essential fatty acid requirements, mineral requirement, antioxidant requirement. All that will come through the normal food, which we can have at our own homes. And again, to reinforce that the milk and curd or yogurt is something which is definitely required. We saw that 400 ml, 400 grams of that particular thing is definitely required for us. And then we need to promote a physical activity and appropriate lifestyle practices, because one of the things which I shared with you, that 60 minutes of our physical activity as a child is something which is definitely recommended by everybody. And then we need to discourage overeating as well as indiscriminate dieting. Both is a problem. There are people who say that I'm on diet. The children need not be doing dieting. What is important is that we need to take adequate calories, adequate amount of proteins, and etc., so that our BMI is normal, our height is going to be normal, weight is going to be normal. So there is no need to dieting unless it is prescribed by the doctors because of some problem. The child is already obese or something, eating more, then that's where we need to cut our calories. Otherwise, there is no need to eat more or eat less than what has been recommended, which we shared with you. Restrict consumption of the foods high in fat. Fat, again, Madam Sharma was telling that in the school, the sugar boards have come up, the oil boards have come up and all that. So we need to restrict this high fat, high salt, high sugar, ultra processed foods. Whatever the thing which you are getting in the market on the shelf is something is not a healthy diet. That's a golden rule, thumb rule. Because they're all processed food, ultra processed food. They will add up preservatives, they will add up coloring agents, all those things. And mind you, today we may say that they are safe, but the only time will tell us that over a period of time they are not going to be safe. In addition to the present knowledge and the data which we have, definitely they are not safe because they are calorie dense, calorie rich. They have lots of chemicals, loads of chemicals. So we need to restrict consumption of the foods in high fat, high salt, high sugar, and ultra processed foods. And it is important that we include more of the fiber rich food, whole grains, millets again, pulses, nuts, vegetables, green leafy vegetables. This is something which will give the fiber and also the minerals component, vitamin component, which are there in these kind of foods, which we have just spoken about. Then comes the fat component. Fats are also essential. In fact, there are essential fatty acids which are important for the body. And we need to include foods rich in the omega-3. And as I said, that if we can include one fistful of nuts and seeds per day, soya beans, green leafy vegetables and all that, that we will be taking care of our requirement with respect to the omega-3 food. Moderate use of high omega-6 PUFA containing oils also required. See, in diet and nutrition, what is important is there is nothing like, you should not touch it. What is important is that, the balance has to be maintained. What kind of balance which you have with the this particular component of the essential fatty acids versus overall fatty acids. That is something which is very important. And then definitely we need to restrict high saturated fat, high saturated fat in the form of butter, etc. Hydrogenated oils. They are the some things which are having a very high saturated fat. They are definitely not good for health. And then you must have seen that, the readily available ultra processed food, fast foods, bakery foods, they are the things which have got trans fats and saturated fats. This is the fat which is a unhealthy fat. This is a fat which is not good for health. So we need to minimize consumption of that particular kind of food there. And then, as I said, that hydrogenated fat again is not something not good because it has the trans fats and the saturated fats. And then you must have seen, at home, your mothers must be saying that repeated heating of cooking oil generates harmful oxidation, injury, oxidative polar components, and it must be avoided. And that doesn't happen when you eat the junk food outside, when you are eating on the roadside or in the hotels or in the takeaways, it doesn't happen. There is a reheating of the cooking oil. That is something which is not good because it produces very harmful oxidative compounds. They are something which are not good with respect to the fat. And in addition to that, they are going to be carcinogen, because they have a lot of oxidative compounds that are not good for health. Then comes having looked into the proteins. In the proteins, there are essential amino acids which the body cannot synthesize on its own. So we need to look into that. And the best way to say is that, there is no one particular component, say cereals or pulses or nuts and seeds, which has got all the component of the essential amino acids. So that's the reason why we mix them up. That means dal, chawal, or nuts and seeds. That's a standard statement which we say. That means when we are taking cereals, whatever the deficiency of the particular essential amino acid is there, that is going to be made up if we add the pulses there. So that means, we take grains, we take pulses, we take nuts and seeds in a ratio of say 3:1 of the cereals and the pulses. Then we will have an entire component of the essential amino acids which are required for the body. So that's how we say that, dal, chawal, khichdi, this kind of thing, they are complementary to each other so that each and every essential amino acid is coming to us so that we will be able to take up the balanced diet, and then we will take up the entire protein requirement and essential amino acid requirement for the body. And as I said, combining cereals with the pulses in the ratio of 3:1 definitely improves the quality of the protein in a meal, because one particular cereal may not have a particular essential amino acid, but that will be taken up by the pulses, which are rich in that particular amino acid. So they're complementing each other. Vegetarians also can meet their total quality protein. It's not necessary that, the vegetarians have to become non-vegetarians. There are methods, legumes, pulses, and the various things which we saw in the chart. They will be able to take care of the protein needs of the body. And of course, the non-vegetarians also meet their protein requirements easily because, they will go through the fish, poultry, meat, and egg. And most of the athletes, I just repeat the word that, most of the athletes can get the recommended amount of protein through the appropriate selection of food items. I just showed you that, how by increasing our legume, pulses, oils, fats, the nuts and seeds, we will be able to take care of the protein requirements and the calorie requirements of the physically active athletics children, also athletes. So that is something which, to bring the point again, that protein powders and supplements are not necessary for normal healthy life. This is again, I'm repeating, because there is a lot of the information to the children that, protein supplements are necessary and all that. But that is definitely not right. And we will be able to meet the protein requirements of normal child and also the child who is into physical activity through the normal food which we eat. And then, of course, indiscriminate use of excess of protein, especially the supplements, prolonged period of time is definitely not good, and it does affect health, especially some of the organs in the body. So that's the reason why we have to be very cautious that we should be able to supplement our food with the high protein diet rather than going on for the protein rich supplements from the market. Then comes the salt again. The kind of ultra processed foods, the things which are available in the market on the shelf, they are going to have not only the calories, the fat, the trans fats, and also the salt. We need to restrict the salt today. 5 grams per day. That is something uh, which has come as a recommendation now because the incidence of hypertension is increasing in young children, and that's the reason why these recommendations have come. 5 grams of salt per day, and we should develop a taste for foods or diets that are low in salt from an early age. Because what happens at an early age, if we get the thrill and the kick of the salty food, then it becomes difficult for us to restrict later in life when we get into the trouble. And that's the reason why we must develop the taste that low salt, so that we will have the component of 5 grams per day of salt rather than going in for high salt processed food. Then again, restrict again intake of the processed and the preserved foods like snack foods, sauces, ketchups, biscuits, bakery products, chips, cheese, and salted fish and everything. These are the things which are not good because they end up in a very high intake of the salt per day, more than what is recommended per day. And then the plenty of vegetables and fruits is something which needs to be added up because these are the sources of potassium. Again, unlike the sodium, the potassium is a, a good one, the good one which decreases the chances of hypertension, and it helps in the excretion of sodium also and maintains the blood pressure. That's the reason why we need to include more of those potassium rich vegetables and fruits so that we don't get into the issues like hypertension and all at a later age. Then again, just to underline the fact that the protein supplements are not advisable for even for athletes to take care of the protein needs and the calorie needs. And then the most important thing is that we fail sometimes, especially in the summer, that adequate quantities of water. Water is the most important thing. And then how the safe water is consumed, how the fresh fruits then are consumed, how fresh juices are not that is to be taken. But if the fresh fruits are available, they are definitely preferred than the fresh juices. And then it is better to prefer buttermilk, tender coconut water, lemon water. And these are the beverages which are natural. They have a good water content and they are safe also. And then avoid synthetic soft drinks and carbonated beverages. This is something which is very important. Most of our children are into it. They think that soft drinks are good, carbonated beverages are good, and they're definitely not good, and we should not be consuming them. They are not good for health. Synthetic soft drinks are not a substitute for water, and that's the reason why it should be avoided. This is again put it in the red there, that if we are thirsty, either we go for the water, safe potable water, or we go for something which is naturally there, buttermilk, tender coconut, fruit juices, or something like that. And definitely, alcohol is not a beverage to talk about. It has more side effects than any uses. And the caution about ultra processed foods and which are very high in fat, sugar, and salt that we have discussed. And then definitely there is a risk of non-communicable diseases. Today, the diseases like hypertension, diabetes, the so-called obesity, morbid obesity, all that is not starting in the middle age. They are starting in the teens. The seeds of that particular diseases, the so-called lifestyle diseases are starting in the ages of in adolescents and teenage groups. So that's the reason why we must have a healthy diet at this young age so that we don't get into the trouble later in life. Then comes again some of those take-home messages with respect to the ultra-processed foods. They are calorie dense and they have lots of fats and sugars. And definitely we must restrict those foods which we have discussed. And then go for anything which is fresh and which is minimally processed, and then be careful when you consume foods prepared outside the home. We must restrict as much as possible and then take the food from home as much as possible and avoid deep fried, fatty, sugary, salty foods, especially the bakery foods. This is something which we must avoid. And and we may be thinking that, enriching and fortifying the ultra processed foods. You must be seeing some of those labels, this is enriched, this has been fortified. That doesn't make them wholesome or healthy. Those packets are saying we have added calcium, there is vitamin D in this. Only vitamin D and calcium is not going to help us. It has to be a balanced diet, a wholesome diet, and the ratios are important. So that's the reason why don't go by these statements that food is enriched, fortified in on the labels. Then comes that having looked into the physical health, having looked into the diet and the nutrition, then is there anything which we can connect the physical health and the mental health? Definitely. Definitely the physical activities are useful. Yoga is again a very holistic, it is a very structured and a planned physical activity. There are a lot of things which we learn in the yoga, breathing exercises, flexibility, muscle strengthening, and of course, the mental relaxation which happens. That's the reason why we can say that if we can take the yoga, again, children may be thinking that, yoga, meditation, spirituality, these are all the things for the parents, grandparents, old age. Please don't think of that. If we start at an early age about these things, the benefits will be very there for all of us in the long run. That is something which we can inculcate at a very young age, at early age, so that we can get the benefits of yoga and the meditation. Well, just to summarize that, the nation, the Bharat is going to be a developed country by 2047. So all of us have a responsibility. All of us have a responsibility because uh, you are going to be definitely most important people for that. Children today at the age of 10, 20, you are going to be grown up. You are going to be at your middle age at that moment of time. And that means, you are going to be the most important workforce for the country to keep it and to make it a developed nation. If that is necessary, it is important that, healthy nation is possible only through the healthy citizens. You are going to be at your middle age at that moment of time. And it's also important to say that, healthy nation is also a wealthy nation. And then unless and until we are healthy, we cannot be wealthy. It is what's good for the nation as well. And hence, the health and education is a focus for all of us. And today you can say that, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana's PMJ has become a game changer. A lot of focus is happening on the primary and secondary health, primary prevention. The PM Shri schools have also taken up the activities. I was just sharing that, I had one class in the nearest Kendriya Vidyalaya to AIIMS, and school health is again taken up in a big way. Midday schools, all this is being focused today just because we want our children today who are in the teens to grow up healthy and then build a nation and then be part and parcel of building Viksit Bharat of 2047. That is something which is important for all of us. Unless we are healthy, the nation is not going to be healthy, and we will not be a developed nation otherwise. But the sad thing for all of this is, we see at hospitals today, many people, you must have seen in the newspapers, in the social media, people are dying very young with the sudden deaths. This is why it is happening, that they're blaming the COVID, they're blaming the COVID vaccine and all that. But the most important data, which we are doing it, the ICMR and the AIIMS New Delhi has taken up this particular study. What we are doing is the young people who are having a sudden death, without any known diseases, who are coming to the hospital, brought dead or something, we are doing a sort of virtual postmortem. We are not going to open their bodies, but we are getting their imaging done, CT scan and all that, and then see what is that which is happening. And we'll be surprised to know that the causes of death in the young, sudden deaths which are happening in the young adults and the adolescents is because of the lifestyle diseases, coronary artery diseases. So all the seeds of this particular things are happening in young children at a very young age because of what? Because of the diet, because of lack of physical activity, because of the lifestyle disorders, because of substance abuse. So this is something we have to be careful about. The teachers have a bigger role to play. The parents have a bigger role to play. And all the children who are listening also should take this message home and say that, we don't want this nation to have this kind of sudden deaths in a young age. We will build a healthy nation. We will build a healthy children, and through that only that we will be able to have the dream of a developed nation by 2047. So again, take a message for all of us. It is not just for the individuals as students in the school. It is from you. You can influence your friends. You can speak to your friends and say that what is healthy and what is not healthy, what is healthy diet and what unhealthy diet is about. Teach your parents also. Some of the parents are also may not be having a healthy diet, and it is your job to go home and tell what is a balanced diet and what is the calories which we need to take in, what are the protein which we need to take in, what are the restriction of the salt, fats, and then processed food should be taken care. Please reach out to your friends and parents also and tell them that eating is very important, the diet is important, food is important. And the rainbow diet, when you look into the colors, what we saw, vegetables, green leafy vegetables, fruits, and other things, we should have all those colors in the diet. This is a so-called rainbow diet. Otherwise, we age faster. You must be seeing that, the children are getting aged faster, obesity faster, that is important. And then take home this message and tell your parents and your friends, grandparents, everybody, that we have to eat medicine as your food otherwise, because today the if we don't eat a proper diet, then in old age we will be gulping many of the pills, injections, and everything just like a food, loads of them. So it's important that we restrict our food, we take a proper food, proper calories, proper protein, proper fats and oils, essential amino acid, essential fatty acids, minerals, vitamins, and everything, whatever that the nature has given to us, rather than going for the processed food, ultra processed food, supplements, and then tell everybody that, we have to be very conscious about our health, our food. And then the one thing which I wanted to share with you, the difference between today what medicine we take and the poison, what is there, is the dose. So the dose is important in medicine. And also the dose, the quantity of the food which we eat is also important for us. We should not be eating less, we should not be eating more. So we should be eating adequately, whatever is necessary for our calories and the daily requirements of the nutrients which we talked about. So again, request to all of you that you become the guru for health, guru for the diet and nutrition, lifestyles, and substance abuse, which we talked about. And the teachers are also there in the audience. It's our duty to reach out to the children and then build the pressure, give them the information, and see to it that in at least in the schools, the canteens and everywhere, the ultra processed food is not made available to the children, so that they get a healthy diet in the schools as well. That's how we can build a healthy nation, a wealthy nation, and a developed nation. I think we all have to take up this as a mission and then move forward, that we are part and parcel of building this great nation, or healthy nation. Thank you very much. And
Sir, on behalf of CBSE, sir, I would like to sincerely thank Professor Dr. M. Shrinivas, sir, Director AIMS, for being with us today and sharing his valuable insights during the mental health session. Your talk on health, nutrition, and emotional well-being was both informative and inspiring, sir. You explained important concepts with such clarity and warmth that it truly connected with everyone present. Your words left a strong impact and gave us practical tools we can apply in our daily lives, both personally and professionally. I would also like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our respected Secretary Sir, Shri Himanshu Gupta Sir, for his continued support and encouragement in making such meaningful sessions possible. We also like to thank all the participants for joining the session. We hope it was an informative session and very fruitful to you. Thank you once again all for your thoughtful and impactful contribution. Thank you, sir.